Ed Rosenberg with the Roses Coaching. And I want to tell you about something I found that's very useful, and it's kind of a core skill in dealing with habits. It's called Tiny Habits. It's from B.J. Fogg, by a book by the same name. And he also calls it behavior design. That's a good idea. You can design your behavior. Well, it has breaks down maybe 4 steps. One is that you recognize you have a desire to do something. And so you instantly take that and you make it really small. Then you fit that into whatever you're doing, and then you nurture it. It's kind of like growing roses, for instance. Instead of planting an entire garden, you just break it down into one rose, perhaps, and plant the seed, and it grows, and you nurture that until it becomes a rose, and you can spread out and eventually have a whole rose garden. What he did actually was very interesting. He decided, well, he was going to do 20 push-ups a day. And after a few days, he realized he couldn't do that. So what he did is he made it tiny. His desire was to do 20, but he said, well, I'll just do 2 push-ups in the morning against the wall. And then he added something very interesting. He has 3 steps. He says, after I wake up, I'll do my 2 push-ups. And then so what? Then he celebrates that. And that's the hardest thing for people. How ridiculous to celebrate the fact that you've done 2 push-ups against the wall. Who can't do that? Well, what that does, that produces something called shine. In other words, that celebration makes you feel good. And it's that emotion that actually makes you want to do it again because it's rewarding, the dopamine and all in the head. So he did that. He did the 2 push-ups and then he celebrated. And then next day he said, I'm going to do it again. And then eventually it turned into 3 push-ups on the floor, and he got to his 20 because he had that shine. And that's the story of Tiny Habits.
Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to continue on with talking about habits. We're going to talk about behavior change. Now there's 4 laws of behavior change, and we're going to talk about each of those. Today we're just going to talk about the first one, which is the cue. The second one is the craving, the response, and the 4th one is the reward. Now, everybody tries to do some behavior changing in our lives. There's half of the population does New Year's resolutions, and only 11% of the population follow through with that. January, I think it's the 11th, is the day that most people stop doing their New Year's resolution. So today we're going to talk about the cue. Now the cue is a prompt. It's a catalyst. It's a trigger that's going to result in a reward. The reward is the 4th law of behavior change. So it's going to start a behavior. Now, years ago, I didn't know about these laws, but I thought, if I put this dress near the refrigerator, it'll be in the kitchen, I'll see it all the time, and that's just going to make me stop eating, and it's going to make me lose a few pounds that I wanted to lose to fit into that dress. Well, guess what? I put it there, and I never saw the dress. It was invisible. Like many of you have put pictures of yourself on the refrigerator, like the way that you are, not the way that you want to be. It doesn't matter. Either one, you're not going to see, possibly. Okay? It may be the cue for you. Everybody's going to have a personal cue. Let me tell you about something that happened recently that made this, it brought this home to me. I take 13 supplements every day. One of them is a liquid one. My dear, wonderful husband, who makes me a shake every day filled with all these vitamins and all of this great stuff. He said, why don't we put your liquid one in the shake? And that would make it easier for you. So I thought, yeah, great idea. Let's do it. So, but what I didn't realize, it was my cue, because I had my cup out there with my ramekin, my little dish of all my other supplements. So I continued filling the little container with my supplements, but I didn't have that cup out there. So I didn't see it. I didn't see my cue anymore. So then I thought, okay, I got to do something because I'm forgetting to take all of these supplements. So then what I did is I started keeping my can of coffee out, my Maxwell House instant coffee out there on the counter. And so that prompted me. I like to fill it up in the morning, my container, with all my supplements. I don't necessarily like to take them then. Because I'm on an empty stomach. I like something to be in my stomach, like the shake that Mr. Wonderful makes me. So then I started putting the can of coffee out on the counter. Now I'm not going to leave my can of coffee out there, so I would see that. And eventually during the morning, I didn't want that can of coffee out there, but I had to take my supplements first. So then I was able to follow through. That helped me. That was a cue. That was a catalyst. That was the trigger that I needed. What triggers can you start initiating in your life?